in 2016, I had been working in tech for a while and didn't see any representation. I was typically the only woman, the only person of color on the team, and I really wanted to change that. So I figured, why not write my own checks? So I became an angel investor and started investing in the change that I wanted to see in the world. I became the deal flow lead for a women-led angel investing firm called Pipeline Angels, and love the work of supporting women and people of color, particularly in the United States. And so fast forward, this is now my day job with PayPal Ventures as the Economic Opportunity Fund Manager. And definitely the highlight of my career is in creating this $500 million Economic Opportunity Fund that invests into venture capital and into Black-owned banks and CDFIs and giving lendable capital to the communities that need it most. Few things I look for when looking at a fund and a GP. One, does the fund have a very explicit thesis? And are they consistent with that thesis through their prior investment strategy and history? So for example, I love investing in fintech founders who are changing e-commerce or payments, transactional payments. Okay, does my background reflect the expertise that I have in that matter? I love to see that. Or if I represent founders from the southern demographic of the US. You know, have I done enough work in that market area to really understand this unique differences in that region that would make me stand out as an investor and understand the market there? The other thing I look for is their why. Why are you doing this? Why is this important to you? Especially in impact-driven funds. Is there a personal story or narrative that drives the work that you do? Because oftentimes in founders, it's also a narrative that is cohesive with what they're building. And then thirdly is, how can you support these founders in their work? Do you have access to the ecosystem to power the work that your founders need to do and have to execute on their model? I think we need more consistent, intentional capital. We need more than one-time commitments. This is an ongoing long-term cycle, and we need to have the cycle and see it through. An average fund is 7 to 10 years. So we have to be committed during that time and invest in their follow-on, their next fund, right? They're moving on to their next fund. We need to be ready to deploy more capital to these GPs. We also need to support them in all kinds of different ways, particularly first-time diverse emerging managers. You know, they're going through so many different things, whether it's legal structure and setup, whether it's the SVB bank crisis, and how do I set up my treasury? How do I help my funds? Where do I move my money? How do I deploy? You know, all those are questions that, you know, LPs, depending on where you sit, can help them facilitate and foster some of those conversations that help them grow and evolve and mature into the GPs of the future that we need them to be. So I think we need to be mindful that GPs need more than capital. They need our expertise. They need our access to our networks too, so that we can support them and grow as a firm. In my organization, this was our first time doing it. We've never done it before. It was a response to the George Floyd movement in 2020, and we knew we needed to activate. So we just activated, literally. We set up a very simple online questionnaire. Please submit to us. We reviewed it. And we got capital out in 18 months. We got $100 million out, which is probably unheard of, and people ask how you do it. And so I think, you know, one is like, do the work. It's not going to be perfect the first time. There's things I would change about the process. Absolutely. But it was more critical for us to get the money out and get it to the people that needed it so that they can deploy capital. And so I say, give yourself forgiveness. It's a long journey. You'll make mistakes. We're all learning together. And give yourself that grace and that time, but keep doing the work. It is important, it is critical, and it's so needed to this community. So I would say, have a clear thesis, have a clear vision. What's your theory of change? What are you trying to impact? and move the needle on that little by little by little. Take the increments of work because it is valuable and it is meaningful, but it just might take a little bit more time. But as long as you have, what you're about and what you're committed to as the long-term vision, just keep striving and iterate and get better each time. I think there's this feeling that, the work is done and the work is never done. In sustainability or in impact, we have not arrived yet. We're always going to have work to do. And so, I think I personally get frustrated, when I hear comments like, those people don't need it anymore, or it's not so bad, is it? And it really, to me, just diminishes or minimizes the potential, the human potential, the technology advancement, the protection that is severely needed in this day. And I would really like us to release the get over it already part and just keep working at it, and keep doing the work and keep building and keep creating opportunity for other people to thrive and prosper, because that's what really matters. That is what really is going to change the narrative and put us in a better position. No, the work is not done, but are we making progress? Yes. And is that progress important? Yes. Does it give us hope to carry on? Yes, yes, yes. And that's why we still need to keep doing the work that is so important. We have not moved the needle. 98% of the capital is still owned by white men. So we still have work to do in this country and in this world to move capital to communities that need it most.